And now could we have, oops, turn over the page, Linwood-Central Heathcote Community Board. Morning, Zoe.
This isn't Linwood-Central Heathcote.
Hey?
This isn't Linwood-Central Heathcote, is it?
Yeah? Yeah, Sally.
No, they're coastal.
No, Shapire's.
Shapire's gone off sick.
Right.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking
Yeah.
at that. Oh, right, okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. Sorry.
I guess, good morning, Mayor and councillors. Just to let you know, I didn't choose the pictures. I only saw them late last night, and
I knew this was. I knew that this was going to spark off a competition. This is all down to Kim's fantastic first report from Coastal Berwick.
I don't think we'll meet up to that. I only saw them late last night, so they may not match the.
It's
talking.
lovely. It's a lovely photo, and it's a great environment too.
Yeah, a community garden next door to the centre.
Yeah.
There's no Part A recommendations this time. So just run through our significant projects and initiatives. The aquatic facility in the Linwood-Woolston area. The current status of this project is that the board met with staff and an architect to have preliminary discussions on the scoping of the aquatic facility, and funding for this project is available in the long-term plan. And as a community board, we all agree that it should not just be a pool, but a really fun place for the whole family to go, with lots of water fun equipment and associated outdoor area with picnic places and picnic places and barbecues and things like that. We're expecting staff to come back to us within the next 2 weeks for an update on this, as we missed their one this week. The second one is the Linwood Lower Fields Flood Mitigation Basin Landscape, which is a really boring name for the Woolston Urban Forest, in actual fact. This is an amazing project. It's a drainage project on steroids, I suppose you could call it, because staff have really outdone themselves here in terms of, I'm thinking of drainage project, a boring old retention basin, and here we've got an urban forest. It's and a lot of us around here will not be around to see this when it comes to fruition and the trees have grown. But I think here we're creating a legacy for Christchurch, for this eastern side of the city, and the next generation. It's a new Rickenham bush, or Woolston bush, or Linwood bush as it will be known, I guess. Amazing project. Number 3, the Woolston Library and Community Facility. The consultation closed on 30th of March, and the first working group meeting was held on the 24th of March. We've got a report coming to the 1st of May to approve the design, and construction is due to start in the second half of the year. You might be having to flick around there. Our significant community issues. I've got, never mind. Yeah, this one. Our biggest community issue is the problem we have on some of the parks in our area, and one of these parks is the Doris Lusk Park on Stanmore Road. Over the past few months there's been a lot of antisocial behaviour there, and the issues are largely associated with homeless people, some of whom have addictions. They spend the day on the reserve drinking, and this has caused residents and others visiting the park and the arts centre there to feel very unsafe. Before the earthquake, Street 10 provided a place for the homeless to spend time during the day, and they were able to spend time with others in a similar situation, access support from community workers, cook meals, do their washing, etc., be in a warm environment. So we feel that the situation is not getting any better, and we're very keen to work alongside other groups to work on getting a drop-in centre in this area, and we'll be talking more about this with you. People are now requesting a liquor ban be put in place, but we feel that this will just move the problem to another place, so we want to do both things maybe, or just get the drop-in centre for a start. we've heard problems from Te Whare Waimata about this issue. We've heard them talking about it, and we're going to bring a proposal to the council in annual plan hearings to try and get some money moved across to get the project started, but it will be a joint venture. The second significant community issue is the Inner City East Revitalisation Plan, and this follows on really from the first one a wee bit, because the board heard from Te Whare Waimata about the ongoing pre-engagement of residents in the Inner City East and Linwood Village about a community-led revitalisation plan for the area. Information collected so far shows that those who live in the area have lived there for a long period of time and have noted an ongoing decline in the area. And there's a perception that the area is very unsafe, and this is also has to do with the Doris Lusk Reserve. They're also concerned about the maintenance issues in the area. This process was begun by the Hagley Ferrymead Community Board in 2016. So we will continue to liaise with Te Whare Waimata on how this process can be supported, including through the annual plan process. The third issue is the Latimer Community Housing Trust. This trust wants to build 6 units for low-income earners in Barbados Street. The housing units are primarily meant for single older adults on low income who lived in the area before the earthquakes. Most of these men lived in the old bedsit units, which have been mostly demolished now. The trust is determined to build in a way that enables tenants to age in place and feel they've got a long-term home. Funding of $290,000 was granted to the trust from the Capital Endowment Fund in 2013. But there's been extensive delays, and they've had a recosting of the project, so now they're working to try and get further funding for the project. But one of the interesting things that they said when they came to see us at one of their March meetings was when they're applying for funding, that most people, when they're giving funding, they have a criteria that you have to provide for the whole of the city as opposed to one area, whereas this trust is particularly concentrating on that Inner City East and what's happened there. So sometimes they don't meet the criteria of a funder. So I'm just wondering, I'm throwing that open to our housing committee here and seeing whether there's an opportunity to work with them, or whether we need to take it back to the Capital Endowment Fund, which is where they got their first tranche of money from. Matters of interest. We've held several community events in March. On the 3rd and 4th of March, the board supported the Linwood College Festival of Nations, and this was a huge success. And 34 nations participated in this multicultural festival. I think it's going to rival Culture Galore. And Linwood College are very keen to make this an annual event. On the 5th of March, the board supported and funded the Life Festival, Linwood Youth Festival Experience, and this is an amazing one because it's actually organised by the young people themselves, and they get a lot of experience from the organisation and can go into those type of jobs with that experience. It was attended by about 5,000 people. On the 6th of March, we had a breakfast meeting with the board area members of Parliament, and discussion included flood mitigation, cycleways, East Frame update, draft annual plans, some of the bus stop, Port of Littleton dredging operations, and Redcliffe School, Redcliffe's Park. We've also held 2 workshops and some neighbourhood meetings on the draft annual plan. We've been encouraging people to make submissions, and the board will be supporting a lot of the submissions that the public have made. For example, we've had a lot of submissions about the Linwood East area and the problems we've got there. We've also, the Christchurch Yacht Club wants money to complete the section of the coastal pathway near where they are, and they've raised a lot of money themselves to help that process. So, I think we've still got another one of those meetings tonight, maybe. So, on the 14th of March, there was a community consultation drop-in session for the Woolston Library. On the 15th of March, we had a breakfast meeting with school principals. 15 school principals attended, and they talked about, a lot of them talked about the congested parking outside their schools and the need for a positive police presence in their schools. And one thing they did talk about, which could be something that council could come back to us in terms of giving us some clarity, is they wanted clarity on the list of school speed zone priority works. So they knew actually how long they were waiting for those safety works like the 40k speed zone and those type of things. So we'd be quite keen to know that for the sake of our schools in the area. On the 18th of March, Community Board and Council staff used Waltham Fair as an opportunity to raise awareness of the annual plan process and its importance. 25th of March, Woolston Gala was also used as an opportunity to raise the importance of the annual plan. And on the 31st of March, we held our Garden Pride Awards, recognising the efforts of those who contribute to enhancing the overall image of Christchurch as a garden city. And like all other parts of the city, we have people there who've been winning these awards since these garden awards started about 19 years ago. I think we had someone there who's won 17 awards. So and there we all are at the back of the Mount Pleasant Community Centre after the awards, having afternoon tea. Really great event that one was. Anyway, I just want to say thank you very much, and next month Jake will be here instead of me because I'm going on a holiday to celebrate 40 years of marriage.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh yeah, we've got a video.
Yeah, well done. Phil.
Thank you very much for your report, Sally.
We've just got a quick video. Can we do that first?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, we're really upmarket. Sound? I think it's got sound. I can't remember. Oh, okay. No, I think
Is that you?
he's got, no, that's me. Jumping in. This is a combination of
You already do.
the live one.
Without the
It's the
plastic.
live one. Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to get you sound enabled for next time. That looked great.
Any questions?
Yeah, Phil and then Glenn.
Thanks, Sally. And I think your whole report shows just how much is being done within the different ward areas of our city. It's great. There's a couple of areas I particularly want to ask you about in terms of how we coordinate these. And one is, I guess, starting with the issue of the alcohol-related issues at Doris Glass Park. That, clearly we have these issues in other parts of the city too. So it's really, I guess, just to invite you to consider bringing these issues, so they are all coordinated as you were asking for, to the Social and Community Development Committee as a way of making sure that we have the best coordination from the council resources. And the other part too, and I'm sure Glenn will ask about this too, was the Latimer Community Housing Trust. There are also a group perhaps who clearly, because of the delays, it might be really good if they come to talk with the Housing Task Force and the Social and Community Development Committee too. So it's just a way to, coordinate all the excellent work that your board are doing.
It's an excellent suggestion that we steer them in that direction, because I think, they've got a project and they're trying to do this, and it's an interesting way in which they're trying to get funding, given that they've got a certain amount, and how the criteria is stopping them, of funders are stopping them to get the extra money. I will take that back to staff to make sure that they know to come to that housing task force. Yeah, and thank you for that thing, because I realise too that there are problems in Addington as well with this. Yeah.
Glenn?
Thank you. Yes, just following on from Phil, obviously there's an identified issue or series of issues sitting beneath one, and that proposed solution with the housing trust. So you'd obviously be happy if we work together with not only you and Jake, Brenda, everyone on the board.
The whole board is just
Um,
behind this project
Housing
so
Task
much.
Force
Yeah.
and the Mayor's Welfare subgroup on homeless. No, I mean the subgroup. No, not the Mayor's Welfare Fund, but the Emergency Housing Subgroup, which has just had its first meeting with all the agencies and put it all
It needs to be
together.
coordinated, and I think Leicester is going to help organise that coordination. I've just given them a big job to do. So.
Yeah, and we've got a year to the LTP, so if we are going to do something over a built
And the need
form,
for day facilities.
do you think we need to signal anything
Yeah,
there for the
we're
LTP?
just writing up here, request officers to report back to the council and community board on a joined up approach to addressing the issues raised in the report regarding Doris Luss Park and the need for drop-in facilities. Because
Okay.
I mean, the homelessness one, and the task force has got to be involved in this.
Yep.
So, and maybe it's better to, can you just note the interests of the housing task force, because often it's, and Yanni's just sent round the report that he sent us before, and he'll keep sending it to us until we actually take notice of it, and he's right, he's absolutely right. The housing first approach works. It's proven overseas, it's been proven in New Zealand through Hamilton, and it needs to be seriously looked at here, that you can't get underneath all of the underlying issues until somebody's got a secure roof over their head. Seattle's our sister city, and we'll have an opportunity to talk to them this year, I'm hoping. So that will be an opportunity for us to actually see that firsthand and report back to the council. At last, Yanni, we will get somewhere.
Thank you very
Go
much.
for.
Just one point I wanted to make too, though, that is actually quite urgent, is that Housing New Zealand are building huge amounts of intensive housing, social housing, in some of these areas. And I'm not saying that there's a link between it, but actually when you think about what's happening with social housing, the intensification of social housing without the wraparound support services for people with needs can be quite damaging to local communities. So I do think it's important that we involve, if we can, Housing New Zealand in this, because actually there is concern being raised by me and other local councils, I think, around just the huge intensity of smaller houses in certain areas, and the lack of support around what can be very complex issues for some of the tenants. So I do think we need to get Housing New Zealand agreed to a join up process.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I guess, the point I just really want to make is that the Housing First actually saves the city money, whether it's health, police, justice or welfare or city. It saves money, so it's actually a good economic thing to do as much as a social.
Yeah, but it requires an upfront investment, and the savings are not found in terms of council funding. The savings are found in the police budget and the health budget, which is why it'd be a jolly good thing if the government would just delegate us all of that, and then we could get the benefits from the investment that we would make in those areas.
Or
again?
we bring those people together for the solution.
Yeah, no, we will, and I just think that's a very good outcome, so thank you very much.
And good stuff on the housing. But I see you had some deputations on the Linwood Lower Fields Flood Mitigation Basin Landscape Plan, aka the Urban Forest.
Yeah.
Did you get answers to those questions about the sected and lighting and the stagnancy concerns?
That was all in the report at the time. The answers were there, but we did ask the staff to engage regularly with residents during the project and provide reports back to the board on monitoring the program around antisocial behaviour, dogs, stagnation and all the issues that they had raised at the time.
Right, so you're comfortable with that?
Yeah.
That's good, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Right, would you like to move it?
I do want to move it. There was one point on that though, that you'll be aware that we did go glyphosate free as a council unless there was a special circumstance. And one issue on the lower fields is that unbeknownst to the board, it was sprayed with glyphosate before the residents could be informed, and so there was a lot of concern from the residents after the board meeting that had happened. And it did raise, I guess, an interesting wider question, which I have sent through, which is it would be good to get an update on how we're approaching that glyphosate-free policy and how many exemptions have been granted and on what basis. Because I think just in terms of community understanding and also our understanding as elected members, it would just be good to get that clarified. But my understanding is the people from that project, are really keen to get on and do the work, and obviously with the flooding that we're experiencing, I think everyone can understand why there is a real urgent need to get these flooding projects
that
done.
is a classic community board issue, and I'm hearing you say that you've sent through a request for information. Can I just encourage the community boards to lead those requests for information, because then you can report it back in your reports. I just think it would be a much more open and effective way of doing things, is that when these issues are raised in your local community areas, that you put in the information request through your governance structure, and then that reporting can come back through the community board and end up in these reports, which makes it a very public process. I'm really happy with these reports. I think it's such a huge improvement. So anyway, so moved by Yanni, seconded by Dion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. That's lovely. Thank you very much, Sally.